Here at the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce, we're so proud to be able to work with a number of strategic partners here in Arlington, possibly none more so than the Arlington Convention Visitors Bureau. And today we have a man here, not just with the Convention Visitors Bureau, but the Arlington Sports Commission as well. Matt Wilson. Matt, welcome. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Doing great.
Well, I wanted to get that out there because can you talk about the relationship with the Sports Commission and the CVB? Because people get confused sometimes.
Yeah, really the Sports Commission was born out of the idea that the CVB had always had a portion of their resources dedicated towards sporting events. But with the facilities that we have and who we are as a destination, sports is such an important part of it that we wanted to make sure that it's emphasized and that people knew, especially our competitors and everybody that across the country that we compete against, knew that we were very serious about making sure that sports was at the forefront of our efforts.
I think everybody's eyes have been opened since that was born. I mean, you guys do 8, 10, 12 a year, but it's not just the normal ones that people think about. It's not just the teams that are based here. Give me a little rundown. You have to go over all.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we really run the gamut. So it's, all the major sporting events that you can think of. So MLB All-Star Game, WrestleMania, the American Rodeo, PBR, Iron Cowboy, all those different things. And people see those because they're so visible. But what people don't see sometimes are the youth and amateur sports. So we run things like USSSA baseball. Every July is a huge, huge baseball tournament that takes place here in Arlington. And then we've had things as wild as the regional championship of U.S. Quidditch. It's a real sport.
I've heard it's a real sport. Well, I'll tell you what's a real sport in Texas is high school football. Speaking to a former high school footballer myself here.
Right.
But talk to me about that, because high school football is a big deal here in Arlington.
It really is. I mean, every year at the start of high school football season, teams are talking about the road to Arlington. People are talking about, you want to end up at AT&T Stadium for that, the December football games. And it's something that we've put a lot of resources into, a lot of time into, built up great relationships with both the UIL and the Texas High School Coaches Association to make sure that everybody knows that the destination and the goal is Arlington, Texas. And we like to tell people, if you want to play on the biggest stage, there is no bigger stage than Arlington, Texas.
Well, and it's all divisions. How many games are there? How many championship games are played in Arlington?
Gosh,
I'm sure it varies.
12.
Yeah.
It's 12. I mean, it's, 1A Division 1, 1A Division 2, all the way to 6A Division 1 and 2. And to have all of those taking place here, not just the big schools, but the six-man teams, to be able to play in AT&T Stadium is not just a treat just for the players and the coaches, but the cheer, the band, the fans. Whiteface, Texas, and Groover, Texas, all these small towns just completely empty to come to Arlington. That's a really cool deal.
So it's safe to say when these kids are playing in the game at that stadium, at that level, there's more people watching them in person than live in the town where they're from.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So as a West Texas high schooler yourself, how cool would that be to roll into Arlington?
One of the coolest stories was a few years ago, Jerry Jones happened to be in the building on the day of the 2A state championship. And I said, Mr. Jones, would you like to award the player of the game? He said, you bet I would. And so these kids have no idea. And Jerry Jones walks out to present the trophy for the state championship, offensive player of the game, and the defensive player of the game. For 2A. I mean, teams that have, a population of 12,000 or 1,200 people in their entire towns.
Nobody else can compete with that. I mean, we've got that. And you mentioned the venues here in Arlington. And I rack my brain sometimes trying to think, who else has this stuff? And I remember something when the Major League All-Star Game rolled through town. It's the only place that there's 2 Major League Baseball stadiums sitting there. That was a big player, right?
Right. No, I mean, there's really no other city that has what we can offer. And let me just run through it real quick. AT&T Stadium, Globe Life Field, Choctaw Stadium, Texas Live, the 2 Lowe's properties right there. And then we have the esports stadium, the largest dedicated esports stadium in the country, all within walking distance. There's nowhere else you can find that.
I mean, makes your job a little easier, doesn't it?
A little bit easier.
Now, I don't mean to put it that way. Your job is very difficult, but I'm curious when something like there's nothing bigger than the World Cup coming through. Arlington couldn't do it alone. So you have a great relationship with surrounding areas and what.
That's definitely a regional effort.
Yes.
Just because, to your point, there's no way that we could do it all on our own. To have Dallas and Fort Worth and Frisco and Mansfield, all these different cities pulling together, this is truly a once in a lifetime event for most people. To have the magnitude that this event will have, to have billions of dollars in economic impact. For 30 days, we will be a central part of the entire world. Will be on Arlington, Texas.
Well, and it's not just the people that are here; it's the people watching around the world. And hopefully, it'll be Arlington, Texas, Arlington, Texas, Arlington, Texas.
Well, that's the goal. But I mean, I will say that when we think about it in American terms, we think that Super Bowl is the largest sporting event in the world, and it's just not.
Yeah.
World Cup is many times over bigger than a Super Bowl, and we're hosting 9 games. Each one of those is bigger than a Super Bowl from a viewership standpoint.
Are y'all hosting that, Ben?
No.
Yeah. I get a kick out of that because some of my friends will say, "Yeah, but you didn't get the finals." I said, "Well, would I rather have 1 finals or 9 other games?"
Right.
I think you know that answer.
That's right. That's right.
You know, you guys are always partnering up with different people. I've mentioned with the chamber. We'll get to us in a minute. But in the sports world, but I was reading before you came in today. What's this? Is it Rally Department? What is that?
Yeah, Rally Department.
Yeah, what's going on?
So we're just engaged with Rally Department to be our sports marketing agency.
Okay.
It's part of the maturation of the Sports Commission is being able to offer more to our clients. In the past, we helped with venues, we helped with hotels, we helped with volunteers, but a lot of times our clients want to, have a megaphone to blast out their message. They want people buying tickets. They want people to know about the event. They want them to know about all the cool things that are happening. So Rally Department is just another tool in our belt, and they've been great partners to help us amplify messages. So if you're PBR, if you're the American Rodeo, if you're USSSA coming in town, that we're amplifying that message because people need to know about these really cool events that are going on.
You know, talking about all these stadiums and the venues and whatnot, you got a mega event coming to town that doesn't really involve a stadium or venue. It involves the streets of Arlington. How did this thing come about, this Indy race?
Oh man, this has been something, the Indy race, so that's the Arlington Grand Prix. This is something that there's been several times that people have tried to start something along these lines, working with Penske Racing and the Cowboys and the Rangers. So, when you bring great franchises like that together, good things happen.
A clap.
And this is really one of the first times that the Rangers and Cowboys have paired together on something so huge. This will be a transformative event for Arlington. I mean, for this to be an annual race on the streets, it's not happening in an enclosed space that the citizens of Arlington could be really proud about. And so with it will be some really cool things that we've never seen before.
We're looking forward to that, and that's 26.
That'll be in 2026, leading into the World Cups.
Yeah.
2026
A little
for us in
busy.
Arlington, very, very busy, but all really good things. And just reminding that these are great things for the citizens of Arlington. The more things that we have coming in, it's other people's money.
So when an event, okay, you may have already answered the question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. When an event is over, it's all said and done, how do you measure whether it's a success or not?
Sure. Well, there's several things that we measure. And one of those things is, from the CVB's perspective, we have to look at how many people came in from out of town. But on the whole, we look at total economic impact. And these events are millions and millions of dollars in economic impact. And what does that do for the citizens of Arlington? It helps keep your taxes lower. We've talked about in the past that anytime you have other people coming into town and they're spending money on restaurants and hotels, they're shopping in our shops, we want those things to occur in Arlington, not other places. And so we do the best that we can to make sure that we're impacting Arlington as a whole, and that really tells the story.
It's safe to say, too, there may be, as hard as it is to believe, but there may be some people, it's the first time they've ever come to Arlington, and they come in for this event, and they say, wait a minute, look at this place.
Yep.
And then they come back another time.
It's a great discovery effort. And, really in the last few years, we've become even a more global destination than ever before. And I'll use Major League All-Star Game as a great example of that. We had people come from countries all over the world, and they're experiencing Arlington for the first time. And what they found was, and what we all know, is that we have an incredibly diverse community, that we have more offerings than just steak and potatoes.
Right.
That we're not just all cowboys riding on our horses, that there are varied experiences that you can encounter here, different kind of cuisine. I think about Prince Lebanese, all the way to, Hurtado barbecue that marries, Mexican culture, Mexican taste with barbecue. So, I mean, that's kind of a 2-for-1 deal right there. So looking at all the offering, we have become a very global destination. Really excited about that.
Okay, so are you competing against other people? I mean, who could possibly compete with? Who's your competition for these events?
Well, it's very unique because not only are we competing against the Las Vegas, Tampa Bay, Denver, Houston, all those places, we also compete with our neighbors and our friends. So we're competing with Fort Worth and Dallas and Frisco. But the good news is it's all very friendly. We have to look out for the best interests of Arlington, but we also know that there are times and places we have to protect our turf.
Yeah, you have to protect your turf, but it's important too, as you mentioned, to have those partnerships to get together and bring people to the North Texas area, and everybody gets a piece of it. Because frankly, an event like the World Cup couldn't come here if you all didn't get along.
Yeah, if you were all siloed up and refused to work together, things like World Cup would never take place. They just couldn't.
So what's next for the Sports Commission? You got all this stuff booked. I know you got things going you can't tell me yet, but is there something you can mention that maybe nobody knows yet or not?
Well, I don't think I can do that yet, but I will tell you this. It's one of the hardest parts of my job is to keep a lid on things.
Just that
And
quiet.
I'll give you an example. The Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight.
Okay.
Knew about it for months before it ever got announced. And people would ask me something really cool, and I wanted to tell people so badly that Iron Mike Tyson was going to fight in Arlington, Texas. And what a cool story to tell that was. But when the time's right, things come out, and it's always a good thing.
There you go. And you always have a big sigh of relief saying, yes, I can talk
right.
about that
That's
now.
right.
And if it happened to leak, you know in your heart, I'm not the one. I'm not
It
the
wasn't
one
me.
who did it. Okay. Well, there's always stuff going on here, and it's a big part for the CVB, for the Sports Commission, but honestly, a big part because of you and your team.
Well, thank you.
Putting all that stuff together, so we appreciate it. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, obviously, strategic partner with the Chamber. In your opinion, I'm going to ask you, I put you on the spot here.
Sure.
What does the relationship with the Chamber bring to you? You've worked in other cities. I don't know if the Chamber relationship was there or not, but the relationship here in Arlington, how valuable is that?
This is the first time I've had a great relationship with the Chamber, not because there was any nefarious reason in my previous stops in Austin and San Antonio, but it provides a unified front. And that's so important when we're talking to these great partners like MLB, when we're talking with partners like WWE, to have a unified front that we are working on the things we need to be working on, but our friends at the Chamber are doing everything they can to bring together the community behind us. That's worth so much to us. And it's always an important thing that when we talk to them to say, we can help you in other ways. And they say, how can we help you? We can bring the business community together like very few other cities can. I'm not aware of other cities that have as close a relationship. And again, I think that just puts more firepower behind us as we go after these major things as a whole, not us trying to take credit for it or not us trying to do things on our own, but working together in partnership.
Well, and with regards to the business community, it's safe to say there are some major players that come in for a sporting event and then to get looking around for Arlington, and maybe coincidentally they're looking for a place to open a new office or
Right.
bring in headquarters. There's got to be a good.
There's a couple of examples of that.
There's some things that have happened there
right.
as well. Well, man, I could talk to you all day. It's always so exciting to get you in. You're very busy. Thank you for your time today, and keep doing what you're doing, and get back out there and get to work on the next one.
Honored to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Folks, that's Matt Wilson with the Arlington Sports Commission, part of the Arlington Convention Visitors Bureau, and as I mentioned, a very strategic partner here with the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce, because as Matt knows, everybody at the CVB and the Sports Commission know together we succeed. So thank you to them, and thank you to you. We'll catch you next time.